Hello and welcome to Game Reactor TV. I'm Steve Hogarty and I'm here in London today to talk to Julian Widdows, who's working on Goldeneye 007 for the Wii. So, considering that Goldeneye it's got such pedigree and it's regarded as one of the best console shooters ever made, you must be daunted to be taking on this project.
Yeah, I think maybe daunted is an understatement. I mean, it's an enormous responsibility. You know, it's like looking after someone's baby. You know, you've got to treat this property so carefully and with such respect. But I think our biggest obligation, and I really mean this, is that we have to deliver a relevant title for 2010. You know, we have to, yes, be mindful, and yes, take care of the baby. But we've got to deliver a game. You know, gaming's moved on over the past 13 years. Game design aesthetics moved on over the past 13 years. Production values, people's expectations with regards to both single player and multiplayer gaming, it's all changed, and we have to be aware of those changes. So yeah, it has been a daunting task. It shaped every decision we've made, every conversation we've had. But at the end of the day, in our hearts and souls, what Eurocom and Activision believe is if we deliver a fun, engaging, enjoyable, relevant gaming experience for 2010, we'll have done the right job. That will be validation for all the decisions and heartache.
And one of the decisions you made, obviously, in sort of retelling the Goldeneye story rather than remaking it, it's not Pierce Brosnan, it's Daniel Craig. So you've updated the setting, but you're still keeping to like the original level design to a vague degree.
What we've done is, firstly talking about Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. Bond is only ever embodied by one actor at one time. He talks to the guys at Eon, and that's really clear. James Bond is Daniel Craig at the moment. So it's kind of inconceivable that you could go back and put Pierce Brosnan into it. Bond's moved on. He's a man of his time, and Eon spent an enormous amount of time and effort updating the character, making him relevant to now. Pierce's character, although was relevant at the time, and one of my favourite Bonds anyway, he's a little more about the smooth one-liners, about the quips. It's about the those elements of seduction. The new Bond's a little less like that. He's more immediate, he's more visceral. M describes him as her blunt instrument, and that's a really nice way of describing him. And we felt it was really important to capture that feeling of it being M's blunt instrument, which is what we've gone for.
And it also, that sort of, as you say, he's a bit more hands-on. He's a blunt instrument. It allows you to do things like things that weren't in the original Goldeneye, like physically subduing guards and going hands-on and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the key parts of this game is the hand-to-hand combat, the covert moves. But you can use those either covertly or during firefights. So the moves that are chosen, depending on whether or not you're doing it in the middle of a big firefight, and you storm up to people as you saw in the demo and take them down, or whether you're sneaking around the environment, dragging them over cover, subduing them. So yes, that's a really important part of it. But we've tailored it to both playstyles, whether you're a gamer who chooses to play through this game covertly, or whether you decide to just pull the trigger and blow the living hell out of everything that moves.
And multiplayer is obviously a huge part of the original Goldeneye, and you're bringing that back to the Wii version. What's changed with your multiplayer, and more importantly, what's stayed the same?
Well, it's a damn fine question. How on earth can you bring Goldeneye back without having the most compelling multiplayer on the platform? The first and the most important thing is we knew we had to have couch co-op. You've got to have split screen gameplay. And most importantly, someone described it to me today as a social contract, that sense of a social contract between the gamers, where someone banters with somebody else about choosing an odd job, you argue over which game mode you want, you accuse someone else of being cheap because they've chosen a certain weapon setup that they favour. But all of those things are really important. You absolutely have to capture that spirit in this game. It's just almost the most important element of the multiplayer. But then it's 2010, online gaming is an enormous part of anyone's shooter experiences, so we had to have online, and Eurocom have gone to great lengths to put in a really compelling 8-player online, Wii Online experience that we know people are going to love. Add to that all the hosting options, all the game modes, 40 characters, including 8 classic villains, and you've got, I think it's about 400 different games you can create. So the longevity on this thing is enormous. Add to that XP in the experience points in the online game, and you've got a very full package, shall we say.
Yep. And if you're sticking true to the original Goldeneye multiplayer in terms of characters. It was mentioned during the presentation, but is Oddjob still going to be a cheating character?
It's he's better balanced than he was in the past, but we kind of felt that was quite an important part of it. But he is a little idiosyncratic, shall we say. So yeah, he's a little harder to shoot. We've actually balanced the heights out a little bit, so he isn't as short as the original Oddjob character was.
Right.
So he's a little higher, so he's not as cheap.
He's grown.
He's exactly. He's got 13 years growth in his legs. That's exactly it. He is a little taller than he was before, just to balance it out a little bit. The same reason Jaws is a little shorter, but you still got the height difference. Oddjob has got endless bowler hats, so keep throwing bowler hats till the cows come home. If they hit you, they're a one-shot kill. Right. If they miss, they do nothing. Whereas the other characters have got grenades, which obviously got an area of effect.
Yeah.
So we're balancing it appropriately. And as we go through to the end of the project, we're getting pretty close to the end now. We're in extremely aggressive focus testing mode, closed betas at Activision, lots of internal testing at Eurocom, lots of external testing. And so any imbalances that we believe are onerous, we'll make sure we take out. But Oddjob's a special case. He's got a special place in gaming. We felt there needs to be something special about him.
And going back to the single player, we saw a very familiar level, the opening dam level from Goldeneye, but it was a different take on it. All the areas were vaguely the same. Certainly, the opening area was identical, but you've taken some liberties, some creative freedoms there. How far away from the original design have you taken this?
We really have gone back to square one. It's funny that I'd say 25% of people swear it's like the original. Well, no, I'd say 50% of people swear it's like the original, 50% swear it's not like the original. It's been updated or hasn't been updated, and I think that speaks volumes to the talent of the guys at Eurocom, is they're able to put in enough touch points to the film, to the original property, for people to go, yeah, that's Goldeneye. But actually, it's very, very different. So we've walked a really, really careful balance between including those nostalgic touch points, those little hints of the property that we all know and love, and yet we've brought it bang up to date, so it is a contemporary experience. And there are lots of little touch points all the way through it, but it is a game in and of itself. It's a game for 2010. It's a new game.